Okay, in this segment, I'm going to get a little personal because I do need to tell you how I came about learning these skills. It's through what happened to me and how a mentor owned the relationship when he came on board. So I hope that you can appreciate that I went through the same things you're going through, and hopefully the story helps out. All right, what we're going to talk about and look at is the sincere and deep transparency of the relationship, how it needs to create a two-way street. He's going to ask me some key questions about whether he made changes or not, but gave good, clear expectations of what was expected of me and the time limits by which I needed to perform. We're going to discuss the one trait that you as the mentor need to communicate very clearly with your mentee of what's expected of them. Do not let them try to figure it out. You have to tell them. You have to be clear. And then you have to really learn that you have to earn the right to make changes and what that means. All right. And we're going to cover how to differentiate the two different hats of the mentor and the manager. So let's get started. So let me tell you real quickly about this name by the name of James Barnes. If you have my little yellow book, I dedicated my first book to him, and I reconnected with him about a year ago. I sent him boxes of the book, and he was thrilled. And he came in, and he was told about Maurice. As a matter of fact, I had the job that he came in for. So I was taken out to a lunch by the owners, and I was told that I was no longer going to be the COO and that somebody else was going to come on board. The decision had been made. Of course, you can imagine I was distraught. They gave me till Monday to bounce back. That's why they took me out to a late lunch on Friday afternoon. We had the weekend to get over it. And so, yeah, I talked to him on Monday. The decision was made, and long story very short, he came on board, and he had been told about me. He first came in. He had 7 supervisors. I was one of them below him. And he met with me very early in the relationship. Came in, greeted me, and first thing he told me is, "Hey, man, I have you on my calendar. What do you think we go to tomorrow?" I said, "Sure." I got open between 11 and 12. And he said, 11 and 12? Oh, no, man. Block out 3 hours, man. I got to get to know Maurice. 11 to 3, 12 to 3. He told me, "Look, man, I know that you're probably very upset, very upset. And you probably don't want me around, and I can understand that. I want you to know that's how I feel about you. I'm not comfortable with you being in the building." Okay. And I was like, well, okay, la-di-da. That's a lot to say to someone on the first date, But he was so open, and he was so friendly, and he says, "So look, I usually don't like to inherit. I want you to know that, okay? I usually come in, give you 2 weeks notice, give you a good severance pay, and make it easy for you to go somewhere else. Okay. That's usually my style." I was told I couldn't do that because you're somehow a protected class. You got a lot of friends up in the executive level here. And I'm saying, going, man, who is this guy? Who talks like that? And he said, "So here's what we're going to do. In 45 days, you and I'll make a decision, because we got to figure out if we're going to work together, man. I want you to learn me, but I've got to learn you. All right. And it would be dumb of me to not take advantage of the fact that you had a job and you see and know a lot. I gotta get you to somehow trust me that I'm not trying to get that info so I can fire you. Okay. But I also have to trust that you're not just going to give me piecemeal so that you get rid of me easy. So we're both going to have to just be very open and see." You see what he was doing? And I was like, I don't know that I like this level of honesty. I don't know that I like this level of transparency. Okay. Well, 45 days later, he told me that I was probably not going to make it. I was going to be 1 week away. And he said, "Look," and he told me the reasons why. And he said, "So, Maurice, have you seen me make any changes? Have I seen around your people? Have you seen me in any way undermine you? No. What have you seen me do?" He says, "Well, you've come into a lot of my meetings and you've taken notes. You've given me some advice. Okay, so I have withheld anything, right? Okay, so now I'm having that conversation with you. I don't agree with a lot of what you're doing. I have concerns, yada, yada, yada. And I don't think that you're going to be able to move things fast enough for us to go forward. I need you to know that. And you have about 1 week left." That woke me up, y'all. That woke me up. The next morning, I was in his office and I said, "James, I don't want to be let go. I will be coachable. Whatever it is that you saw, just tell me what it is." He said, "I appreciate that, Maurice. I really do. Let's go to lunch. Open up 12 to 3. Let's have a whiteboard conversation, and I'm going to be very direct with you. I'm going to tell you everything, and I need you to be coachable, and I need to see a different Maurice than what I've been seeing. The one that walks around and knows everything. I need to see a different Maurice." I said, "You got it. Guys, here I am. I owe everything to James Barnes. I am who I am because in 2004, he spent the next 2 years mentoring me and mentoring those other supervisors to learn what it means to collaborate across departments in a very professional environment. And I wrote everything down, everything he taught me. And then when I left here in 2008, I took all those notes and I put together a program. I reduced it down to a little yellow book and I dedicated it to him. And that's the power of a James Barnes. That's the power of a mentor. When he started telling me what he wanted to see happen, it was like, great, but he had earned the right. He had earned the right to critique, and he critiqued hard, but he waited until the right time when he realized the relationship was established and now Maurice was coachable. He just had to get my attention, and sometimes you don't have to wait 45 days, but you have to measure it. Like Wendy said, we got to know the personality at what time but you got to let the person know, okay? You can't just not do this. I knew up front what he was doing for 30, 45 days. I was the haughty one that kind of just walked around saying, I got this, I got this, I got this. I don't want to need no mentor. He told me with 1 week left that, you know what, I haven't liked your lack of coachability. I need you to be, otherwise I'm not going to continue with you. And then, whoa, okay, you got me, you got my attention. You know what I'm saying? He never just did things. He told me about it and he gave me a chance to do something. And that's the number one thing that he taught me. And he taught me about, you have to have regular conversations with your people and you have to let them know regularly when they're failing, how they're failing, and not let them fail. It's got to be their choice to fail. And you have to let them know you have about 1 week left. I'm going to start marking you green, yellow on this. I'm going to start marking you red. I need you to, because next week I'm going, and it comes from a heart that says, I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't happen, but I can't seem to get your attention. But the relationship has to be there. Remember the hat on one side, one hat is great and thoughtful, helpful, informative. And you have to create friendly conversations. Got to be very conversational, very friendly. Then you got to put on the other hat. And the other hat is what? Gracious, kind, thoughtful, helpful, informative, friendly, conversational. What? They're both the same. But this one, every once in a while, you pull out business talk, looking at reports, holding somebody accountable. Do you see the difference? The hats seem very similar. It's just that the second hat is going to be where I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to talk numbers. That means that we're going to be very friendly and casual about business because I'm going to be mentoring you. We're going to be working on things together. And throughout the conversations, I'm going to pepper the business holding things accountable. And so the way that looks is a little bit more like this. Basically start off basically saying this. Here's when we're going to meet. Here's how we're going to meet. Okay. We're going to have casual conversations. We're going to have focused conversations. I'm going to lead. You'll take over soon. Okay. And then you have to emphasize, because I want to have casual conversations and focused conversations. It's an ongoing peppering. And I'm going to use a 3-to-1 approach. We're going to brainstorm and I'm going to be very task oriented. We're going to brainstorm and task oriented. Brainstorm means you and I are going to plan things. We're going to work on things together. I'm going to listen to you, how you think things ought to be done. And then when we give each other tasks, I'll keep up with it and I'll make sure you're doing your task, I'm doing my task. And then we'll meet again next week. So Natasha, this is where you could come and say, well, isn't that what a one-on-one meeting is? And my answer is, yes, it is. I'm just layering on top the mentoring aspect. Whereas before, the way that I taught you guys mostly was the manager side. And so here, what we're saying now, let's go ahead and pepper the mentoring on top of that.
I see what you're saying. You're saying maybe make it not so focused, like kind of like have casual conversation in the midst of having the formal one-on-ones.
Right. And it has a lot to do with, so what are you thinking? What do you think the problem is? Okay, what are the other branches saying? Well, the other branches are saying this, that, and the other. Okay, so if they're saying that, okay, who said that? Airlines. All right. What about coursing? Okay. All right. So what do you think we ought to do then? All right. So then, all right, I think we should do that. All right. Well, what if we do this? All right. So let me do this. Let me talk to Justin. Let me see what we can do. But let me first run it up the flagpole. Let me talk to Julie first about it. All right. So if I pull you into a meeting, we're both going to say the same thing, right? Okay. Yeah, I'll say the same thing with you. You see what I'm saying? It's that brainstorming together on things, or they tell you, hey, look, that new girl we hired, she's just not working out. I know. So what do you think? What do you think the issue is? Well, the issue is this and this. And what do you think I ought to do? I think what needs to happen is this needs to happen. And okay, so why? You see what I'm saying? They're experiencing that gal that you hired that's not working out, and they can't talk to you about it. And when they tell you, you say, well, I shouldn't talk about other people, so let's not talk about it. Oh, okay, well then okay. Boop. I see the kind of relationship we have, but I got to live with her. When I leave here this meeting, I got to go live with that woman that you haven't trained very well. And I can't tell you where I'm seeing she's failing because she's needing your attention. You don't want to put your arm around her. You're a high D individual. She's a high I individual, and she's wanting somebody to love on her. And that's why she talks all the time. Will you please go and say hi and take her out to lunch or something? Spend more time with her. You can't treat her like you treat me. See, that's what a mentee should be able to say to a mentor to help them when they're not doing something right. But if it can't be an open conversation, then that information is just going to be shut up and boom.